First up, we have President Cavallucci introducing the board.
Good evening, Board of Trustees, members of the college. It is my honor to introduce Dr. Jennifer Wade, our Vice President of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion, sitting right over there. Dr. Wade comes to us directly from University of California Health, where they served as a DEI professional consultant. Prior to that, Dr. Wade was the DEI advisor and trainer and a tenure-track assistant professor for Gwinnett Mercy University from 2018 to 2022, where they taught both undergraduate and graduate level courses that addressed racial discrimination, LGBTQ studies, ageism, disability studies, income inequality, reproductive rights, intersectional identities, stereotyping and discrimination, interpersonal and systemic bias, climate justice and sustainability, ecology, sex, gender, and sexuality, animal rights, history of eugenics, and comparative economic theory and violence. Prior to that, it's amazing, isn't it? That's why I wanted to read it all out. It's unbelievable. Prior to that, Dr. Wade was an assistant professor at Marymount, California University from 2016 to 2018, where they taught DEI-related courses that addressed climate ethics, socioeconomic status, philosophical ethics, religion and violence, holistic methods for social justice movements, nonviolent communication, and decentering systemic racism and mindfulness movements. Prior to that, Dr. Wade was an adjunct assistant professor at Emmanuel College from 2011 to 2016. Dr. Wade possesses a PhD from Boston College with a dissertation on theology with emphasis on queer theory, intersectionality, and anti-oppression methods, and a Bachelor of Arts from Thomas Aquinas College in Liberal Arts. I think you can see why we're fortunate to have Dr. Wade at Olympic College. Please welcome Dr. Wade to the podium.
Thank you very much, President. That was a mouthful. So I guess I would just like to say at the introduction, thank you so much for the warm welcome that I have received from so many folks. I'm very, very happy to be involved in this work and in partnering with all of you. I myself grew up as a class straddler and a member of the LGBTQ community and with a disability, and was self-supporting of myself and siblings from high school onward. So my progression was one where a community college was vital for me and for several of my siblings. And as I moved through my own educational and professional journey, it's kind of jaw-dropping to see the expectations that people have of the resources folks in my kind of situation had that I didn't have. And trying to find those and trying to find other people at the table who understood that or were anything like me. So I'm very excited to come back and be part of the mission goals of this community and this community college, and to be able to really help. Going to graduation was so moving to me because I felt like every time I turned around, I was like, myself, my siblings, my family, I could just see that in the people coming up and in our student speakers too. So I'm so happy to be able to bring my experience back here and really just get to know all the pockets of DEI work you're already doing and help that to be connected and amplify that, and also see what new work we might be able to do together. So thank you so much. Thank you.
Up next, we have Frank McNeil.
Good evening. Financial Aid has 2 new employees that have joined the college. They both started on May 1st, replacing 2 very long-time Olympic College employees who recently retired. So the first one is Callie Daniels. She is now a program specialist 3 with the Office of Financial Aid, focusing on loans and satisfactory academic progress. And then we also have Katie Guarin joining us as well as a program specialist 3, focusing on state aid and data. And she comes from our student financials office with from the last 4 years of experience. So I'll go ahead and let them each say a little bit about themselves. So Callie, why don't you go ahead and start?
Can you hear me? I'm not sure if you guys can hear me or not. Sorry, I'm a little under the weather. I'm coming to you from home, but it's nice to meet you all. My name is Callie Daniels, and yeah, Frank kind of summed up what I'll be doing. But it's nice to meet you guys and look forward to seeing you guys around.
Welcome. Nice to meet you.
Hello, I'm Katie Guerin. A lot of you probably already know me. Like Frank said, I come from the Student Financials Department. I've been with the college since 2019. I started as a student employee and I graduated with my associate's degree in 2021. And now I find myself in the financial aid office. I'm really excited to learn more about grants and whatnot. And I'm just really excited to be here and learn new things and see how I can assist the college in helping our students.
Welcome, Katie.
Welcome.
I believe that's all the new employees being introduced.
Great, thanks, Adam. We don't have a study session this evening, and we'll move right on to the business meeting portion of the agenda. Board of Trustees, do we have any trustees that have anything to report?
Well, we just do want to just say, Trustee Brian is that they get an opportunity to be able to attend the tenure reception and also the graduation of 2023, which was exciting, a little wet, but exciting. But I was undercover, so everything was going well. So very much enjoyed that.
Great. Trustee Miller, do you have anything you'd like to report?
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. I did attend the Donors and Scholars Dinner, and I'm so appreciative of everybody who donates so that students can attend Olympic College. And then the highlight of the year, of course, was graduation. The weather wasn't really cooperative, but it was so nice to see all the students and their excitement about their future. And it's one of the events that I always look forward to attending every year. So it was a great event. So congratulations to everyone who graduated. We're so proud of you.
And Trustee Gonzalez.
Trustee Gonzalez is yet to join us this evening.
Okay, great. Well, I just want to kind of piggyback on Trustee Colvin and Trustee Miller. I tell you, it's just been, the last week has just been amazing. The graduation, I ended up going to the 10, the 1, and the 4 o'clock, the nurses' penny, which was hands down amazing and very exciting to see so many graduates. I also attended the Spring Awards event, which was very nice, and along with the donor and scholars. And also, you know, I wanted to say thank you. We did have a special meeting on the 13th of June. And I just want to say thank you for those that came out and shared their thoughts and you know, again, I personally want to apologize for that May 23rd meeting. I hope that we can reset and build more better relationships. We talked about that at the special meeting. So again, I just want to say thank you for coming out and sharing with us and hearing our hearts and us hearing yours. So with that, we're going to go into our communication items. So any communication from the public, Adam?
Yes, Chair Brian, this is the portion of the agenda in which communication from the public is being taken relating to action items on the agenda. So up first, we have Mr. Craig Goodman.
Action item.
Goodness, let me declare it ready. How you guys doing? We're looking a little less soggy, so that's good.
Yeah.
All right, so thank you for your time. So I wanted to speak tonight. I'm not speaking as the faculty union president. I'm just a concerned tenured faculty member and member of the local community that the college serves. And I want to make sure you understood the board's role in oversight and approval of the college budget. Certainly, recent events along with continued ambiguity in budget presentations are concerning. As a tax-paying citizen, I want to know where my tax dollars are being spent by my local institution, including the community college. So tonight I have three concerns I just want to bring up. So the first is, I'm not sure the board fully understands the cost associated with the expansion of allied health programs. I don't think the college itself has been presented any information about the cost of this program, and we understand the return on investment later, but with our budget concerns, we also need to be concerned about how much is this going to cost us. So while these programs certainly help local healthcare force, the programs are very expensive to establish and maintain in the long term. In fact, the state has this kind of logical idea of having programs not housed at one or two institutions because they're just not economically feasible for those institutions to bear that cost of these expensive programs. But in the presentation in Paulsville in April, I didn't hear a lot of board members ask about the cost of establishing all the programs presented or on the truly mind-boggling timeline presented. These have to be accredited programs, and that can take a very long time. So while your job is to be supportive, it's also to be that critical eye of the public. Two, this leads to my second concern. We have recently been presented with budget reductions and eliminations of faculty positions in areas that actually produce FTE, state funds, and thus provide economic support for programs like allied health. However, administration had proposed eliminating full-time positions in areas like history, economics, philosophy, and ASL. These areas produce quite a bit of FTE, and while history will have one remaining full-time faculty, philosophy and ASL, American Sign Language, will have none. And these are not position freezes. These are eliminations, meaning there is no longer a budget line for these faculty positions. There will be no full-time faculty overseeing and developing curriculum or doing assessment of philosophy courses. There will be no full-time faculty overseeing and developing curriculum or doing assessment in our ASL program. And there will be no full-time faculty to build enrollments in these areas that traditionally produce strong enrollment in FTE. And finally, I want to make sure you understand that according to the state board's dashboard, since 2013, Olympic College has increased its full-time faculty by about 9%. So this is data from the state board you can go look at, while increasing administrative exempt staffing by 44%. With these elimination of faculty positions, it seems quite possible we literally will have more administrators than full-time faculty at Olympic College in the fall. And while the work of administration is absolutely important, I'm not sure I can see Olympic College administratively operating any better than it did a decade ago. In fact, it often feels like we're operating less efficiently and providing fewer services. So as a concerned citizen, I just want to make sure Olympic College is using my tax dollars to educate students and provide the best and most well-rounded education possible. And that you understand the expansion into allied health comes at a cost to other OC programs and faculty. And I encourage you to ask questions and think critical, which of course are things that we teach in history and economics and philosophy courses. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
All right, up next, we have Margaret Hood.
So, good evening. Most of you know me as Margaret Hoden. I'm the budget analyst, plus I'm a shop steward for WPEA. And what I'm here today is in my role as a budget analyst and concerned. On 14 June, there were two presentations done for the All College Budget Forum. What was presented and what has been given to the BOT on the first read of the budget doesn't match. Sorry. We had the first read. On 16 June, there was a executive forum and college reorganization update. Those updates are not included as part of the budget. The timing is off. I do not know the exact dollar value of the changes, but given my experience, I'm going to probably guess about 500,000. It's a college decision, and I get that. But I want to be known that, again, it's not included as part of this budget package. Thank you.
Thank you, Margaret.
Next, we have Deb Montez.
Oh, I'm behind. It's stuck. Good evening, y'all.
Hi, Deb.
Hi.
I apologize. My internet's spotty, so I'm turning off my camera, but I'm here.
Oh, you look lovely. You're matching the tabletop. It looks great. Good evening, Board of Trustees and attendees tonight. I am Deborah Montez, staff representative for Washington Public Employees Association, representing classified staff for various higher ed and general government agencies across the state. I would first like to recognize all the amazing efforts and hard work by all staff, classified, faculty, and administrative to put on such a successful and enjoyable commencement this weekend. I can say enjoyable because I watched it remotely. I didn't have to be in the rain. And I do mean enjoyable during the rain and the sunshine. I saw that so many folks did not care about the weather. They were just thrilled to have finally achieved their goals at Olympic College. WPEA looks forward to our newest contract bargain with OFN this year for the upcoming biennium for 2023 to 2025, which takes effect on July 1st. We got significant percentages of costs, they call it cost of living increases, but it's not really cost of living, fully compensated increase, but it did go through. So that is encouraging for our classified staff members going forward. As we look forward to this new fiscal year and the academic year coming up, based on the previous reports from this agency, from Ron Ellison, from the VP of Administrative Services, we are highly discouraged at the blank statements, vacant statements that have been made, or sorry, vague statements that have been made in regards to the unfulfillment of vacant positions for classified staff specifically. This administration and agency has not shared that information with WPEA. We do not know what positions they're talking about, and it's already talking about being a permanent unfulfillment of these positions. That means there's work that needs to be done. That means somebody else has been doing that work, and that's by definition skimming. What I would hope is that this administration would listen to WPEA. We've had multiple meetings. We meet monthly with them for LMCC, and it doesn't seem to be getting through. We don't seem to be getting answers. We're trying to meet with them on a monthly, regular basis, and we do not get answers in a timely fashion. I will be preparing a report for you. So you have this, not just with our verbal statements every month. Unfortunately, I would be willing to provide those monthly statements written to you guys, but honestly, this board has not listened to WPEA all year. Hopefully with the change in leadership, I've heard encouraging things from the June 13th meeting. It will change. We do want to help turn the Titanic around. We're not deckhands here. We have been on the boat the whole time. So we are encouraged, we are excited to keep Olympic College afloat, despite some of the efforts we've seen from the administrative staff that are still here. I would really encourage the president to engage in eye contact with people that are making reports to the board. So it would seem that he is engaged. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Deb.
That is only public comment on items related to action items on the agenda. We do have more public comment later this evening.
Thank you. Okay, so we're gonna move right into approval of the draft minutes for the May 23rd, 2023 regular board of trustees meeting. Do I have a motion?
Make a motion, then we approve the draft minutes from the May 23rd, 2023 regular board meeting.
And can I get a second?
I'll second.
A motion has been made and second that we accept the draft minutes for May 23rd, 2023 for our regular board of trustees meeting. Any discussion or questions? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, abstentions, motion carried. Thank you. And then also we're going to move right into approval of the draft minutes for the June 13th, 2023 special board of trustees meeting. Could I please get a motion?
Move.
And a second.
I will second.
The motion has been made and second that we approve the draft minutes for June 13th, 2023 special board of trustees meeting. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries. Okay, we're gonna go into information and action items. And our yearly events calendar, June 2023.
So most of the events, this month have come and gone, most notably with our spring work celebration and our commencement. I do want to just inform the board that the planned retreat has been postponed and will be rescheduled per Trustee Bryan's request. We'll go ahead and find a suitable date and publish the agenda in the near future. So, any questions?
No.
Oh, thank you.
Our next information item is our budget update.
We have Mr. Ronald.
Good evening, Chair Bryant and members of the Board of Trustees. I am the infamous Ron Ellison that you've heard about already this meeting. I'm really pleased to be here tonight to talk to you about a number of financially related items. The first being the budget update for the month ending April 2023. By way of a brief explanation, the financial statements, the operating revenue and expenditures report is, as I mentioned, reporting the month end for April 2023. We are 83% of the way through the budget year. Revenues are running at 78% of the budget, and expenditures are a percent higher, 79% of the expected budget. We expect that within the next 2 months of financial reporting that things will net out, will correct out. We are expecting a material ending fund balance, which means that we will, by the end of the year and by the year end close, that we should have remaining funds that we will spent our budget. Currently, we are in deficit by $486,000. As I mentioned, that should turn around within the next 2 months. We have no concerns there. The differences between revenue and expense are primarily, again, timing differences in reporting, not only in the current year, but in comparing our operations to the prior year, just differences in reporting as a result of CTC. With regard to cash on hand, cash is lower, $1,200,000 lower than the prior month in March. And again, nothing, no serious variances there. And the variances that do exist are purely the result of report chain errors, not errors, differences in timing between the prior period and the current period. That's all I have. Are there any questions that you have for me?
Any questions? Trustee Miller, you have any questions?
Not at this time.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
We have action items. The 2023-2024 service and activities, fee budget.
We have SGOC officers here to answer any questions that are remaining regarding the 2023-2024 SNA fee budget proposal. If you're going to speak, I would suggest bring the podium to the folks at home here. But if you don't have anything and you're just taking questions, then you can.
Are there any questions? Unless you have something extra you want to say. All right. So do I have a motion to approve the 2023-24 service and activities budget?
Move.
And can I get a second?
I will second.
A motion has been made and second that we approve the 2023-24 services and activities fee budget as presented. All in favor, can I get aye?
Aye.
Any discussion? Any questions? Okay. Any abstentions? Motion carries. And our next action item is our 2023-24 operating budget.
Thank you again, Chair Bryant, members of the Board of Trustees. Presented for your second reading is the 2023-2024 operating budget. We are looking forward to an anticipated approval. I'd like to take a few minutes to review with you changes since the first reading in May. So if you have that available to you, referring to the document entitled Recommended 23-24 Operating Budget. So there are three columns on that report. The first is the proposed May 23-24. That is the column that represents what was shared with the trustees last month. The second column is entitled Recommended June 2023-24. And that is the budget that's being proposed for adoption tonight. And then the third column is the approved June 2022 budget. So that was the budget that was approved by the trustees a year ago this month and is our current operating budget. As far as revenues are concerned, there were no, well, I shouldn't say significant. There were no changes to the numbers that were presented last month for revenue. However, there was $1 million that was added to the reserve line about midway through the listing of revenue. That $1 million is kind of a traditional placeholder that we often have in our annual budgets, just to kind of provide a float as we anticipate revenues being received and expenses being paid. The intention is that by the end of the year that will net out and that the $1 million will actually be recharged to the reserve. So that's the revenue section. As you'll note, at the bottom of the total of the revenue section for total revenues, revenue did increase and even $1 million over what was presented in May. Any questions on revenue? Okay. Skipping down then to expenses. Again, there were no changes in the detailed expenses for the operational units. So instruction, student services, IT, et cetera. And as a result, total expenses are the same in this recommended budget as they were in the proposed budget a month ago. That said, there have been changes that were made below the line. You may recall, and it was referred to earlier in one of the public comments, the vacant position elimination that is one of the tools that the college is planning to use to help balance the budget. There was, in the proposed budget in May, there were anticipated savings from the elimination of those vacant positions of $2.4 million. In the recommended budget, that amount has been reduced now to $1,400,000. So it has been reduced by $1 million. That's because we are in the process of going through and validating the positions that could justifiably be eliminated. That list got smaller. And so we have fewer positions that we are intending to eliminate. The same is true for the position buyouts. You may recall that we had talked about the possibility of buying out 14 to 20 positions, I believe. And that was what was discussed in the May board meeting. That number has now been reduced to, I think, between 7 and 10 positions. Ultimately, the first year savings stays the same, so it remains at $100,000 in first year savings. The anticipated costs of $500,000 to implement the buyouts remain the same. The future permanent savings, rather than being $1.6 to $1.9 million, are now expected to be closer to $1 million per year. So that's the second change that was made. And actually, that was not a change. The amount of revenue that is being anticipated to help balance the budget remains at $100,000. We added back to the operating budget almost $500,000 in expenses that had previously been on guided pathways. $460,000 is being added. That's for both positions and activities in student affairs, as well as positions and activities in marketing and communications. So that's an added cost that has to be borne by this budget. Finally, in order to balance the difference between revenues and expenses, the college is planning on a targeted budget reduction of $1,079,000, which is approximately 1.8% of the budget. When those three actions are taken, the vacant position elimination, position buyouts, and the targeted budget reduction, we will have a balanced budget. To the point that was made also previously in the public comment, both myself, the Office of Financial Services, as well as the Budget Office, is concerned about the actual savings that will be realized from each of those reduction tools. So we are not certain about, as I mentioned, we reduced the anticipated savings from 2.4 to 1.4 million. We are standing by, we're monitoring that to make sure that the college is able to meet that target. We're doing the same with the buyouts to assure that we're able to actually record the savings that we're anticipating, that we've anticipated. In addition, there was comment made about a reorganization plan that was shared with the college community last Friday. There are some costs that are anticipated that were not included in this budget because those reorganization plans were not known at the time that the budget was being developed. As a result, the college, my office, and the budget office will be monitoring through fall and winter. We'll be monitoring actual expenditures, actual savings, and we may come forward to the board if there are materials differences in what was proposed here. We'll come forward with a budget revise in either fall or winter with updated numbers if necessary. That said, the college recommends that the Board of Trustees approve the 23-24 operating budget with the potential for a revise to come forward later in the operating year. I am happy to answer any questions that you might have, and then we'll go from there.
Instead of potential, can you come back with a report after that fall winter?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. Whether or not we need to have a revised budget, definitely.
All right. Well, can we entertain a motion?
Can I, Chair Bryant, may I ask a question?
Yes.
So for the vacant positions that aren't going to be refilled, will the board get a methodology of how those positions were chosen? And I saw I'm toggling back and forth, so please forgive me. With the hiring chill, That's, those are, that you're not going to hire. I get that. And the vacant positions, those are ones that are just will not be filled. Is that correct?
Yes,
Okay, thank you. What, did you hear my first question?
yes.
I'm not
so
sure.
I think your first question was, can the board receive a list of the criteria used for developing the list of positions to be eliminated?
Yes.
Yes, I will work with the Vice President of Human Resources, and we will provide that list of criteria for you and a list of the positions that have been identified.
Thank you, Mr. Ellison. I appreciate it.
Yes, absolutely.
And then can you include the buyout positions as well?
Yes,
So,
excuse me, just for clarification, Chair Bryant, so right now we are still working on identifying the positions for buyout. There are some labor-related issues around buyout that Human Resources is working on. We'll keep you apprised of that, and once that list is finalized, we'll provide that to the board.
I can just clarify a couple of these questions if that's helpful.
Oh, thank you, please, John.
So for the vacant positions, these are positions that are on state funded, there are state funding that are currently vacant. So we can't hire them without new money because of the deficit. So when we say they're eliminated in terms of accounting, but the individual VPs and E-team are still evaluating and prioritizing those positions. So they can always be brought back if funding is made available elsewhere through either other cost saving measures. So they are technically eliminations, but they're not gone forever. They can always come back if they become essential. And we find the funding through other sources without adding to the deficit. So does that make sense? As for buyouts, we're still working on the criteria of how that. Oh, sorry, about how that will work. That is something that does have to be bargained through the faculty union, so we won't have answers for that until we get through that. But I've been in contact. We're going to get some meetings scheduled.
yeah, we just want to be assured that our college is going on patient.
Absolutely, yeah.
And that's a concern.
So when we're talking about the methodology, when you're talking about vacant positions, right now they're placeholders. So there's not a lot of methodology there until we start getting into the weeds on those.
Okay. Thank you, Josh.
Thank you, Josh.
Thank you, Josh.
All right.
So can I entertain a motion to approve the 2023-24 operating budget as presented?
So move.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
The motion has been made and second. Any discussion or questions? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye.
Any abstentions? Motion carried.
Thank you very much.
And our next action item is approval of the 2023-24 tuition rates. Oh, one more time.
I'd forgotten that I was the next one up again. All right, thank you again, Chair Bryant and members of the board. So presented before you is the, in your board packets are the second reading and anticipated approval for the FY 23-24 tuition rates and fees. I'm sorry, that's not FY, that's academic year 23-24. As noted, last month, the tuition rates and fees were approved by the state board on the 11th of May, 2023. The schedule that was presented last month has not changed and is the same as was shared in May. The schedule adopted by the state board includes a 3% tuition rate increase. The college recommends that the board of trustees approve this updated tuition rate list. And both Dr. Kaga and myself are available to answer any questions that you might have about this, the schedule.
Any questions? No.
No,
Okay.
no.
I'd like to entertain a motion to approve the 2023 tuition rates as presented.
A motion to approve the approval of the 2023-24 tuition rates.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
A motion has been made and second. Any discussion or questions? If not, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next up for action item, we have the early registration policy.
Okay, so just a really quick overview again. This would provide early registration for Running Start students, students who self-identify their military service, and there are very specific categories for that. Obviously pursuant to federal law, students with disabilities with approved early registration accommodations, students who self-identify in their admission application with the Resource Center as foster youth, and students who self-identify as homeless and provide documentation with their Resource Center that they self-identify as homeless, and students on an F1 visa, and finally, student athletes. Any questions for me?
Any questions for?
No question.
No, thank you.
Okay, so I'd like to entertain a motion to approve the early registration policy as presented.
Make a motion to approve the early registration policy.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
The motion has been made and second. Any discussion or questions?
No.
Okay, if there is none, all in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Any abstaining? Motion carries.
Great, thank you. And we'll work on implementation for winter since summer and fall have already begun.
Great, thank you. We're gonna move right into reports to the board, and I have student government.
So to start off the student government report to the board, we're gonna things related to the budget. So at the May 23rd meeting, there was discussion around sustainability around the 23-24 estimated budget and the lack of having a multi-year plan in place for the reserves. Since the previous meeting, SGOC has decided not to accommodate the request for a multi-year plan. We want to reserve future student government team. We want to reserve future student government teams the right to dictate the usage of those reserves until they have been sufficiently spent down. In conjunction with the spend down plan, a new focus for SGOC will be assessing the increase of SMA fees. On behalf of the SMA Budget Hearing Committee, we sincerely thank the board for approving the 23-24 SMA budget, and we look forward to the full slate of student programs and activities that'll happen next year.
Of my report. So it's gonna be pretty long. If you have any questions about anything I talk about, feel free to interrupt me. So an overview of the goals that we had this year. We had 3 primary goals, and that was fostering belonging and wellness, mitigating homelessness, and combating food insecurities. So out of the 3 goals we set for ourselves, combating homelessness was the most challenging and the least on the nose. With that, many things that will surely help mitigate the national student housing crisis, will hopefully further future SGOC's ability to improve on those completions. More specifically, I'll talk about that when I get to legislative action and things that we are looking forward towards in the future. With regards to combating food insecurities, our ability to promote the food pantry solidified SGOC's relationship with community food banks and its reputation amongst OC students. This year we had 493 visits to the pantry, and we acquired countless donations from the community, leading to SGOC having to move the food pantry to a larger space for better accessibility. So it previously was in our office where we operate every day, and now we're going to be moving it to Building 10, larger space. So we're very happy about that. Our final goal we set for ourselves was to foster a sense of belonging and wellness, whether it had been our involvement with the legislative process, charting new clubs, hosting events, creating a spend down plan, or simply talking to students around campus, whether it be classroom presentations or tabling events. SGOC's ability to reach and engage the student body helped us paint a picture of what OC wanted from its student government. To touch on some of the things that I just listed, we chartered 7 clubs, and they've been very involved around campus. And another thing, more specifically on housing initiatives, is I'd like manager of the Res Hall, and he's done a fantastic job of keeping it. And he's come to us with a lot of requests, just things that would improve the lives of people living there. So I'd like to thank him for that. So I have 3 specific things I want to talk about that kind of encompass all of our goals. The first thing is legislative action. SGOC was able to visit Olympia twice this school year to talk to legislators about some bills that we believe were important and beneficial to students. The most prominent being House Bill 1559, which now has been passed, and is a section added to the 10th section of 28B, RCW 28B, which was the Establishment of Student Basic Needs at Public Post-Secondary Institutions Act. Not only is it providing funding to a position on campuses, it's going to be a pilot program for the next, I think, year and a half. 2 institutions, they're gonna put someone on campus that's gonna, promote housing, food, shelter, just basically any type of student need. And it's just, trying to think of a better word for this, but heightening the importance on the personal lives of students. And we thought that was extremely beneficial. And I personally was extremely happy to see a lot of legislators on both sides at the state level that were interested in this bill, and I'm super happy it got passed. The biggest takeaway from our time at the Capitol, though, was the importance of building relationships with our elected officials. Not only did we get involved with, I know Trustee Coleman and I were able to meet, and President Cavaluzzi, with a lot of legislators, and they seemed very interested in OC and what community college is trying to achieve in the state of Washington. And I think whether it's me or any other member of SGOC in the future will just be extremely beneficial to improving the lives of students really long term. So I'm very excited for that. And then rather than just, going to Olympia and talking to legislators, we got the opportunity to go to DC and talk to some Congress people and senators. Specifically for me, being a veteran and using the GI Bill, there's a lot of things that we felt were affecting our veteran students. A lot of veteran students told me about some things that they would like to see change. And it seemed like a lot of legislators, specifically in the state of Washington, were in agreement with us. So again, we hope that the work that we've done and the documents that we've created for future SGOCs will be beneficial into hopefully passing some bills and future initiatives that will improve the lives of all students. So the second thing I wanted to talk about was our spend down plan. And if you want specific numbers, I do have it with me. At the end of the fall quarter, we surveyed students on what they would like to see at OC. In total, we received 495 responses that helped us develop a spend down plan, which is now coming into fruition. Although there have been minor amendments to the plan, the core initiatives that we included are to renovate the locker rooms in Building 9, allocating money for gym memberships or other initiatives for our satellite campuses, creating gender neutral bathrooms, and supplementing the SNA process, and building wayfinding signs on the Bremerton campus. These initiatives have all moved at their own pace, but we are happy with the progress they're making. And although we won't see them finish when we're here, of course, yes. And I'm very excited about that. And then the final thing I'd like to mention is the Student Senate. SGOC worked tirelessly this year to develop the Student Senate. Although we faced some challenges building the Senate and developing a plan, created an effective branch of this Executive Council, which will make SGOC far more reaching. So a big takeaway that I had when I went to DC is I talked to a lot of student governments from around the country, and most of them are 30, 40 people. There's only 6 of us. And it really made me feel proud of the work that we have done, but it really lit a fire under me to increase the size of student government so we could reach different constituencies at a faster, more effective rate. So I personally took the Student Senate very seriously, and I'm glad that although we've developed 10 positions, that I've created a plan for the next president and vice president of SGOC to build upon that and to hopefully have senators come to these meetings and to go to the Hill and to just create a stronger student government. So, any questions so far?
No, we're very proud of what you've done. You've done so much good work that it took 40 of them to do it. It only took a few of you. But I know it's tough work and I know it's hard and it keeps you very busy. So, but I just want to say thank you.
Thank you.
We're very proud of that. That did excellent job.
I appreciate that. I finally would just like to thank my team and everyone at OC really for helping us out. Personally, I got out of the military about 9 months ago, and the transition's been difficult at times, and just everyone's been extremely supportive of me and the lives of our team. I mean, all of us have 2 jobs and are full-time students, so just the support that we've gotten from OC has just been fantastic, and I couldn't be more thankful to be a part of this school for the time that I was here. So, thank you.
You have done a wonderful job. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Next up, we have faculty senate report.
The faculty senate announced last month that they will not be providing a report this month. Ms. Briggs will be back in the fall to introduce the new chair of the faculty.
All right, thank you. And then we have our combined administrative report of the Board of Trustees. Does anyone from the executive team have anything more they want to report besides what we have? Good. All right. Well, thank you for that report. And we will now adjourn to an executive session. The purpose of the executive session is to consult with legal counsel regarding agency enforcement actions or actual or potential agency litigation. So the executive session will last about 15 minutes, which that time the meeting will reconvene or the executive session will be extended.
Okay, if the board will adjourn the executive session, Trustee Miller, you'll be put to a breakout room, as will AAG Berger, and on conclusion of the executive session, we're going to join this meeting.
Adam, this is Cheryl. Where do I log on?
You will see a prompt on your screen that says accept invitation to breakout room or something.
Okay.
Like that.
Thank you.
Yes. The board is going to their meeting.
All right, so now we reconvene out of the executive session and we'll proceed with our agenda. So, Alan, do we have any additional public comments for this evening?
Yes, we have Mr. Larry Blaine.
Oh.
Come on down.
Come on in. Lacking the microphone, I'll use my classroom notes. Ladies and gentlemen of the board, good evening. And by the way, that budget report with the discussion that followed it actually gives the lie to what I'm going to talk about here, but it was wonderful. My name is Larry Blaine. I'm in my 15th year of service here at Olympic College. And I have to say, I just wince and roll my eyes whenever I hear a reference to so-called shared governance here at Olympic College. Shared governance begins with open communication. When the college recently announced the expansion of the allied healthcare program, I first learned about it through an article in the Kitsap Sun. In an email after the fact, the president explained that he had to keep the entire planning process secret so that until he received support from the board of trustees and the city of Paulsville. But that's not shared governance. The board, which should set the example and hold the president accountable, also operates in secret. In his recent letter of resignation, Mr. Tom Ekman explained that by the time documents are placed on board docs and presented at a board meeting, they have been thoroughly vetted. The actual presentation of materials at the board meeting is largely perfunctory, and that was his word. We read advanced copy and direct questions and concerns to the presenter via the president. In other words, all discussion takes place and decisions are made behind closed doors before the public board meeting, without any minutes, without any communication with the employees and students of the college or with the public. There is no shared governance. Well, there can't be when most of us are kept in the dark. In a recent book, US Congresswoman Katie Porter described how, like you, she will sometimes tell a witness in one of her committees ahead of time what questions she will ask. But here's the difference. She then asks those questions in an open hearing so that both the question and the response become part of the public record. That is what transparency in governance looks like. That is how both the questioner and the person testifying become accountable for their words and for their follow-up. You, the board, should be setting an example. But largely, again, with this exception, you are not. I haven't seen it in the years I've been here. Do you care that Olympic College is governed in the dark? Will you take public action without which nothing will change? Or is this, my communication from the public, also perfunctory? Thank you for listening, I hope. Good evening.
Remainder of public comment.
Okay. Okay. Just for the good of the order, trustees, do you have anything that you'd like to discuss or share? Trustee Miller, anything for the good of the order?
No, thank you.
Trustee Gonzalez, anything for the good of the order?
No, thank you.
All right, hearing no other items, the meeting is now adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.